Underwater volcanoes are among the most powerful forces on our planet. But what happens when they erupt? What is it like for the animals that live around them? And how do they shape ocean life? Stick around to find out. Now, some of the Earth's most iconic landscapes were shaped by underwater volcanic activity, such as the Hawaiian Islands. But those massive mountains and islands weren't formed in a single eruption. Instead, they were created by a series of eruptions over millions of years. And although not all underwater volcanoes are so grand in scale, scientists think that underwater volcanic activity has affected nearly every part of our oceans. The vast majority of volcanic activity occurs beneath the ocean surface, but that doesn't mean we don't notice it. Famous underwater volcanoes like Krakatoa in Indonesia or Mount Vesuvius in Italy can cause massive earthquakes and tsunamis when they erupt. These events have far-reaching consequences for ocean life. For instance, after Krakatoa erupted in 1883, its violent explosion was heard as far away as Australia, more than 3,000 miles away. So how do animals living near these volcanoes survive their wrath? Animals living near volcanoes have evolved to survive in extreme environments. Take the elegant sea spider, for example. This bizarre-looking creature lives in volcanic areas of the Indian Ocean where temperatures can reach 4 degrees Celsius. To survive, these sea spiders have developed enzymes that allow their cells to function even at such high temperatures. On the other hand, in colder waters, animals like the Pompeii worm thrive in deep-sea volcanic vents where the temperature can drop to 1 degree Celsius. Here, organisms have adapted to survive with unique cell membranes that prevent them from freezing. And the giant tubeworm, which lives in similarly frigid waters, has its own special adaptation. Their bodies are filled with bacteria that convert chemicals spewed from the vents into energy, allowing the worms to survive without food. But not all animals living near volcanoes are so lucky. When Mount Vesuvius erupted, it released huge amounts of ash and gases into the air, killing thousands of people and animals alike. But perhaps more significantly, the ash cloud blocked sunlight, causing a cooling effect that lasted several years. The temperature in the affected area dropped so much that fish began dying. In fact, this volcanic winter may have contributed to the extinction of several animal species. However, sometimes volcanic eruptions can actually benefit animals living nearby. For instance, some marine animals use the heat from underwater volcanoes to incubate their eggs. The blue-ringed octopus lays its eggs in shallow waters near hydrothermal vents, where the eggs are kept warm enough to develop properly. Similarly, fish like the rockfish have been found to lay their eggs near volcanic vents because the carbon dioxide produced by the vents creates small pockets of acidic water that are less hospitable to predators. In addition to their effects on local ecosystems, underwater volcanoes also play a major role in the formation of entire ocean currents. When a volcano erupts, it releases dissolved gases and minerals into the ocean water. Over time, these substances can affect the salinity and density of the water, which can alter ocean currents. For example, when Mount Pinatubo erupted in the Philippines in 1991, it released large amounts of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. The gas formed sulfuric acid, which caused global ocean currents to change. As a result, several regions experienced unusual weather patterns and temperatures for months. Volcanic activity can also help regulate Earth's climate in other ways. When volcanoes erupt, they release large amounts of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. These gases can trap heat and potentially lead to global warming. However, volcanoes also release particles into the atmosphere that reflect sunlight back into space. This effect can counteract the warming effect of the greenhouse gases and lead to global cooling. For example, the 1815 eruption of Mount Tambora in Indonesia released an estimated 160 billion cubic feet of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. The following year, the Northern Hemisphere experienced the coldest summer on record. However, despite the impact they can have on our planet, the deep sea remains largely unexplored. In fact, more people have walked on the moon than have explored the deepest parts of our oceans. This is partly because deep-sea exploration is expensive and dangerous. But recent advances in technology are helping scientists learn more about the deep sea than ever before. For example, remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs, are equipped with cameras and other instruments that allow researchers to explore the depths without having to send humans into the extreme environment. And unmanned submersibles known as autonomous underwater vehicles, or AUVs, are being used to map the ocean floor and study deep sea life. Thanks to these technological advances, scientists have recently discovered new species of animals living near deep sea volcanoes. For instance, the Japanese had previously discovered 2 new shrimp-like crustaceans near the Okinawa Trough. Then in 2022, scientists discovered a new species of sea cucumber living in the southern Mariana Islands. They also found evidence of other animals such as crabs and snails. While scientists are still learning about these animals, they are already aware that they play an important role in the ecosystem. For instance, the sea cucumbers eat bacteria and other organic matter that oozes from the vents. This helps keep the water clean and allows other animals to thrive. The crabs, on the other hand, feed on the dead bodies of animals that fall to the seafloor. By breaking down these bodies, they recycle nutrients that are then used by other organisms. So while the deep sea may seem like a harsh environment, it is actually teeming with life, and the animals that live there play an important role in keeping the ecosystem thriving. And if you want to learn more about the deep sea and other fascinating topics, be sure to subscribe to our channel. We've got all kinds of science videos that will blow your mind. Now, you might be wondering why we haven't seen any major changes to sea levels despite the formation of new land from volcanic activity. Well, that's because the land formed by volcanoes is usually below sea level. Take the Mariana Islands, for instance. The islands are formed by underwater volcanoes, but they are submerged. It's only when the volcanoes reach above sea level that new land is formed. But even then, the amount of new land formed is usually very small compared to the total amount of water in the ocean. So while it may seem counterintuitive, the formation of new land by underwater volcanoes actually has little effect on sea levels. But volcanic activity is not the only way that underwater volcanoes shape ocean life. They can also create new habitats for animals to live in. When a volcano erupts, it can create new seamounts, which are underwater mountains. These seamounts provide a new surface for animals to attach to and can become home to a variety of marine life. For instance, corals and sponges often colonize seamounts, creating new reefs that provide habitat for fish and other animals. Underwater volcanoes can also create new islands. When a volcano erupts and reaches above sea level, it can create a new island. These islands are often rich in nutrients, which can support a variety of plant and animal life. For instance, the Galápagos Islands are a great example of how underwater volcanoes can create new habitats for animals. The islands were formed by underwater volcanoes and are home to a variety of unique species of plants and animals that have evolved in isolation from other populations. And finally, underwater volcanoes can also shape ocean life by providing food. Underwater volcanoes can create vents on the seafloor that release chemicals and minerals. These chemicals and minerals can support the growth of algae and other photosynthetic organisms, which serve as food for other animals. For instance, the giant tubeworm is a species of marine polychaete that lives near underwater volcanoes. The worms are able to survive in the extreme conditions near the volcanoes because they have symbiotic bacteria that live in their bodies that convert chemicals from the volcanoes into energy that the worms can use. So as you can see, underwater volcanoes are a major force in shaping ocean life. From providing new habitats and food sources to regulating ocean currents and even influencing the climate, underwater volcanoes play a major role in the health and balance of our oceans. So do you have a favorite underwater volcano? Let us know in the comments section below. As always, it's me. This has been Life, Noggin. Don't forget to keep on thinking.